In this video, I will show you how we can take this rather plastic, fake-looking wood material. I on purpose will increase the specularity here to 1 and make this look a little bit more natural. And we will use a process that is not um, physically correct. Technically speaking, for the roughness or the normal, so the bump mapping, we want to have individual images. And I can show you here how those actually look. So there's my walnut veneer. See, here is my color. Here is my displacement, the bump normal mapping, the reflectivity. And when you look for textures online, you do not necessarily always find image references where you can get all these maps. So sometimes we have to make these maps ourselves, and that can be very time consuming. So honestly, and that's also the reason why I show you this process. Sometimes it is okay when we get to a semi-realistic result. We might see the difference, but maybe the client or in presentations, it doesn't matter. Because the question is, do we need to be physically accurate or can we be close enough? Okay, so with this image, we will now adjust the roughness and the normal all together. And the beauty of this process is when we then select a different image, the whole network is already set in place. Okay, enough talking. Let's do it. Specularity we set to 1 on purpose, so we get a really nice and strong reflection here. Okay, then now we know to make this more 3D structured, we go add the vector bump, connect this, 0.001. And there now we can see actually that there is something happening. Okay, so we can adjust the reflectivity and the roughness. Okay, but the roughness is very, very uniform. So this feels kind of like if there's a three-dimensional structure on that surface, then this roughness needs to be more individualized. And what we have here right now is not, yeah, that still looks pretty fake. Okay, so let's do this. Bump is okay. This I will disconnect on purpose. And then I showed you that this is black. We will go add convert color ramp. Put this one in. So this takes this colored image and the color ramp, then it turns this into a grayscale image. And here you see we have two sliders, white and black. And by sliding them around, as you can see, I can manipulate everything a little bit or reverse the direction. Or not the direction, but switch what is white, what is black. So what I did here is everything that was white to kind of like, yeah, medium gray. This is all set to white, and everything from black to pretty much dark black is all set black. Kind of like, again, this works like the level command in Photoshop, for example. So this output we will use and put into the roughness. And let's see what happens. So when we go to this view and go up and down, oh, this looks interesting. So what's happening? So white, as you keep, when we slide this, you can see white is actually a higher value of roughness, and black, since this is super glossy, is actually a lower value of blackness, a lower value of roughness. So this means in terms of a slider, black translates to 0 and white translates to 1. No? 0 and 1. let's put this one to there so we can see actually what's happening. Now we clipped everything out so much that we made everything look just plain black. So maybe there, and we have this. Now we bring this over to there. So we said white is actually 1 for roughness, and then black is 0. So everything that's black right now essentially means is polished, and the rest is kind of like scratched. So when we put this now into the roughness slider, and there you can see that. Okay. I will keep this one here. I just Shift-D made a copy just so I can switch between the results forwards and backwards. So let's say we would like to flip this. Shift-A, color invert. You can invert this, but you see then, okay, black turned white and vice versa. So this is not actually looking really good. So what we have to do here is bring this over to there. Maybe get this closer. Okay, so I have to be very careful. Zooming in actually can help. So we said again, everything that is black is actually polished. Everything that is white, that is actually what's going to be rough. Okay. So you see how I'm, with this orientation, I'm actually getting a little bit more of the wood lines, kind of like the grays or pores. Not down here, unfortunately. They're actually better. Okay. So this also shows you the downside of this process now, because I'm kind of like relying on how is this effect manipulating the color of this image. In Photoshop I have more tools, but then I switch between Photoshop and Blender, or Photoshop and the render program. Right now this is a little bit slower since I'm also teaching you how this process works. There, actually no, this here, this is actually not too bad for this first effect. Okay, good. Now, so we have here actually version A or version B. You see we can switch between them, which is quite nice to have these elements. And then I will make this smaller. We're actually not stuck to white and black. So white is 1 for the roughness, so very rough. And black is 0, but maybe I want this not to be a transition from polished to rough, but what about semi-polished to very polished? Okay, so we click on the black color slider here, and then click on the color, and we change black more to something grayish. There, now you see this is actually in general more in the matte area. It doesn't look so plastically anymore. Wood is a pretty rough surface, so we would not really have something that clean. Also here, white, we can also lower. Maybe make this more gray. Yeah. So then we can bring this back to here. Whoops, come on. Thank you. Yeah. And now this actually looks a lot more believable. Maybe this we increase, not too much there. Yeah. So to sum this up again, everything what we try to do here is to create an illusion, in particular in computer graphics and presentations. The goal does not necessarily always has to be 100% photorealistic. I know it is kind of like there's an art behind it to craft something that perfect. If you have the time, great, do it. Sometimes we don't have the time, and the big question is it even necessary always to do? There's also a certain level of render fatigue that's happening. Render fatigue meaning everything is super glossy, perfect. What we do not want, however, is to show materials kind of like this, which are just visually obviously wrong, but we can do something that is not wrong and not not realistic. So somewhere in between. This is pretty fast to do, and in terms of storytelling, yeah, it's actually okay. Now we can get it. The beauty about the human mind is it fits in missing details. Here we don't see the perfection, but we can understand, oh, this is actually a three-dimensional material. There are some structures, some pores, and it's some sort of a glossy matte finish. Okay, job is done. Very good. That's all I wanted to show in this video.